We have tea about Anime Expo, guys. If you guys don't know, Anime Expo is probably the biggest anime convention in the US, and Anime Expo Chibi is the smaller spin-off of that convention. So this year, they're hosting Anime Expo Chibi from November 8th to 9th in the Ontario Convention Center. Don't be confused, this is not Ontario, Canada. This is Ontario, California. They're not the same. So yes, this is Anime Expo Chibi. This is the website. And you know, of course, during time windows, there might be some conflicting events, things like that. On the same weekend is another event by the name of Anime Pasadena. So Anime Pasadena is another anime convention, and as the name suggests, it is happening in Pasadena, California. Now, if you guys are not familiar with LA geography, Pasadena, California and Ontario, California are both in SoCal, but they are very far from each other. One is very north, one is very like east, but regardless, they're happening during the same weekend. So what exactly is the issue with Anime Expo Chibi? Well, we have this screenshot grabbed by Tato Totato of the TOS posted by Anime Expo Chibi, and it reads, limited non-competition. Artist agrees to appear exclusively at the event and not to appear live or live streaming at another convention, concert, or venue within 100 miles of the event during the event, 2 weeks before the event, and 2 weeks after the event. The quote, limited places and times, end quote. Unless SPJA, which SPJA is a Society for the Promotion of Japanese Animation, and they run Anime Expo, and as a result, Anime Expo Chibi. So, unless the SPJA actually consent to it in writing. In any event, if you appear within 100 miles of the event 2 weeks or more after the event, but within 2 months of the event, artists shall not announce that other appearances show until after the event. Because the SPJA has invested so much in producing and publicizing the event in which the artist appears, SPJA would be irrevocably harmed if artist appears live or live streaming in the limited places and times around the event at which they're appearing. Artist agrees not to produce, create, or cause to be produced or create any Japanese culture event or convention in SoCal within 2 years after artist appearance at the event. And nothing restricts the artist from distributing or marketing their own intellectual property through normal and customary distribution. What does this mean? Let me give you a TLDR, okay? TLDR, if you are an artist at Anime Expo, you cannot be an artist at any other convention around Anime Expo Chibi. Okay, 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after, because it's gonna hurt Anime Expo Chibi. Ooh. So you're not allowed to vend at another event. You're not allowed to appear in a live stream at another event. The second thing that this TOS says is if you are an artist and you're gonna attend Anime Expo Chibi and other events within 2 months, you cannot talk about you going to other events until Anime Expo Chibi is over. Point number 3, if you are an artist and you attend Anime Expo Chibi, after attending for a 2-year window, you are not allowed to create or host a Japanese-themed culture event. There are so many words under the sun I can say for this, but this is massively insecure. This is called a non-compete. So this happens in other industries. It happens in the content creator industry, which is the industry that I'm in, where they will try to prevent you from competing with competitors and working with competitors because they're afraid it will hurt their business. So how does that work exactly? They will literally put it into the clause. An example for me, I'm a content creator, right? What will happen is sometimes when I work with brands, hypothetically, this has not happened. Hypothetically, I want to work with Sony to promote a camera. What they can do is put in the clause, hey, Catliente, right? You are not allowed to work with any other camera brands 2 weeks before our agreed video goes live and 2 weeks after. This is to prevent competition from, mudding the brand, whatever, hurting the Sony brand because you are working with other people. It does happen in the influencer space, yes. And you know what happens when that happens? When they ask for that, they need to pay you a lot more money. They need to pay you for the brand deals, the opportunities you lose because you have to turn them down because of what they asked. Now, Sony never asked me for this. This is just a hypothetical example. I love Sony. Please work with me. This is not normal to see in an event situation, especially when you're not paid for it. When you are an artist that attends a convention like Anime Chibi, they don't pay you. It is the other way around. You actually pay them to get a table at the event. So for you to have to open up your wallet and pay money to get a table to vend, you're not allowed to attend other conventions to vend because that's how these artists make money. That's crazy. And all of this is because Anime Expo Chibi is insecure that there is another event, Anime Pasadena, happening at the exact same time window, the exact same weekend. And then secondly, it's again really weird that Anime Expo Chibi is saying that if you are scheduled to attend and vend at another event between the window of 2 weeks and 2 months out from when Anime Expo Chibi happened, that you can't talk about it until Anime Expo Chibi is over. That's again weird. You are hurting the artist business by preventing them from promoting the other events they're going to attend. Again, you're also not paying them for any of this. They are paying you for the table. And 3, for 2 years after attending, you yourself can't host a Japanese culture event or convention. If you want to host, I don't know, like a anime themed artist alley event, or I don't know, like a matcha thing or something, right? You're just not allowed to do that because you went to Anime Expo Chibi once. And the other thing is that this is actually illegal. This is Purdue Global EDU, okay? According to Purdue Global EDU, well, as of January 2024, there were 2 groundbreaking laws that were passed where it strengthens California's already existing non-compete clauses. California already wasn't a fan of non-competes. It was pretty much illegal, but those 2 laws that passed in 2024 basically made it really illegal. Essentially, the TLDR, disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an attorney, okay, this is just my understanding of reading this, is that these 2 laws that passed basically entirely outlaws non-competes for California and potentially for jurisdictions outside of California. And here, look what it says in the California Legislative Information, their .gov website. As used in this chapter, unfair competition shall mean and include unlawful, unfair, or fraudulent business act, blah, 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 like prohibited by Chapter 1 of Part 3 of Division 7. And you can get fined for it. So not only is it just gross and weird, it's literally illegal. They are operating in California. Like, this is an event hosted in California. It's illegal, which is wild. Sorry, not the voice crack. Oh my god. Are they in big trouble now? Well, they are in a bit of trouble. So this is Anime Expo Chibi walking it back with their tail between their legs, writing, "We've seen some recent conversations about our terms and conditions and appreciate the opportunity to clarify. Our goal has always been to support artists and performers while fostering a space built on transparency and collaboration. This isn't about limiting opportunities, it's about coordinating announcements in a way that respects other shows and help build excitement. We firmly believe that the success of our artists, performers, and partners strengthens the entire anime ecosystem. Veterans Day weekend was intentionally chosen for Anime Expo Chibi, now in its 4th year, to avoid scheduling conflicts with other conventions, allowing artists, performers, and attendees the flexibility to participate in multiple events if they wish. This year, it so happens that another event is taking place the same weekend. While we love to welcome you to Anime Expo Chibi, we understand that everyone has different plans, and we're grateful to be part of such a passionate and supportive anime community." Yeah, so this is wild, by the way, because let me break this down for you, okay? In the dumbest way possible. Anime Expo Chibi said, "We want to support artists and support your collaboration. We purposely chose that weekend to not conflict with people. It happens this year, there is another event, and we get it if you want to go to the other event." This is an absolute miss because you can't, in good faith, say that your goal has been to support artists and performers and add a non-compete to your terms and service, because that is not supporting artists and performers, right? When you add a non-compete, it literally prevents artists from working with your competitors in that window. 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after, which means, according to your TOS, they cannot go and vend at Anime Pasadena. You might be like, oh, that's not possible because the artist can only be in one place at one time. What some artists do is they vend at multiple events. They will have like a helper vend at one event and they themselves will be present at the other event. They send proxies so they're able to vend at multiple events on the same weekend to make the most amount of money. Because we all know artists don't make very much money. It is hard to make money as an artist. A lot of artists make a fair amount of their income from vending at these events. Also, secondly, vending at events is not, by the way, a guaranteed get rich quick for artists. Sometimes artists will lose money to do this because there's a lot of fees and hidden costs that go into vending at events. There's the table fee because Anime Expo doesn't give this shit away for free. You got to pay money for that table. Secondly, you have transportation costs. You have to transport not only yourself, everything you're selling. And if you're selling things that are heavy, like clothing, books, like art books, whatever, shipping is expensive. Living costs, because if you're not local, you are staying in a hotel. You have to pay for that. It can be thousands of dollars per conventions vend at these events. So you have to make a specific amount of money just to break even and then go beyond breaking even and actually profit. It is a gamble for artists to attend these events, but they do it to try to make money. So you putting a non-compete Anime Expo Chibi into your clause is literally directly trying to make sure artists can make less money. I feel like there's no other way to say it. Yeah, and then secondly, yeah, you purposely chose Veteran Day weekend to not conflict. Cool, that's a smart business move. But you know what? It sucks to suck. There's 365 days in a year, and out of all those days, there's way less that are actually weekends. Events are gonna fall on weekends and not weekdays to make sure people can attend. And obviously, if there is a holiday, right? So it becomes a 3-day weekend. Those weekends are going to be hot commodity for events. You don't just get to monopolize Veterans Day weekend and play like what? Crying toddler, somebody took my candy, boohoo, because another event is also on the same weekend because it's a 3-day weekend that is going to be more conducive to hosting events. That's just what's going to happen. It comes with the territory of hosting events. You don't get to monopolize that weekend. People weren't happy with this apology from Anime Expo Chibi, basically, because it really felt like they missed the mark. It really felt like a convention that was supposed to have artists' best interest at heart truly showed their real colors and showed they didn't. Which, of course, a non-compete is just directly impacting artists' business. So, yeah. People weren't happy, and we have commenters saying, yeah, so you didn't clarify why you're limiting artists' income by restricting them for an entire month's worth of events. That's not supportive of artists. That's actually harmful. Inkwell says, non-competes are illegal in California, if I remember correctly, which they are, skipping this one for the foreseeable future. And if you go to their TOS now, when we scroll all the way down to where it was line 24, which is where it was, they have struck out the entire non-compete section. They've struck it out. Backtracking a little bit to the original non-compete, it's just very interesting the reasoning they listed in their TOS as to why they added the non-compete, right? They added it because they said that SPJA has invested so much time in producing and publicizing the event that they would be irrevocably harmed if the artist went to other conventions in that time window. Irrevocably harmed. Are they that insecure that they think an artist vending at other conventions during that time window is gonna hurt their business? Like, it's just a weird thing because like Anime Pasadena is a big convention, yes, but like Anime Expo is a huge name. It is a massive name. It has like the brand recognition. So I'm just surprised that like it's that level of, I guess, like brand insecurity coming from them. The second thing though that I'm curious about, and I was trying to check and you can't really see it right now, is because Anime Expo Chibi has this non-compete in their TOS, did Anime Expo themselves include something like that in their own TOS? That's what I'm wondering right now. Because right now they have their policies, right, on the Anime Expo page, program policy, recording policy, terms of participation, liability release, but their actual terms and conditions are broken, at least for me. It's not loading. Part of me is just a little bit concerned because it's like, it feels like you're very cash grabby by adding a non-compete instead of showing you're like for the artist. And because Anime Expo Chibi and Anime Expo are related, just has me a little bit concerned for Anime Expo, but that's me personally. Just would have to see for Anime Expo next year what is included in their TOS. Would you be attending or tabling at Anime Expo Chibi now that you know this information? And what are your thoughts about the non-compete? Do you think it's fair, or do you think it's a bit predatory to include that? We'll love to hear your thoughts down below. If you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I have emotes for streamers there, and I also have a coffee with free resources for streamers and creators, like a sponsorship guide, and I stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. So I hope to catch you guys there or in another video. Peace.